So I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that
They're
the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen,
they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. You don't have to do that.
So we're mad at him because he changed his.
Oh no. By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning Hunter Biden.
But you sound like you're
mad. No.
In today's video, we've got Whoopi Goldberg getting absolutely destroyed by Charlemagne the God on The View live in a heated debate over Hunter Biden's pardon and the Democrats' so-called moral high ground. Now, Joe Biden has repeatedly said before that he would never pardon his son, yet here we are. He not only pardoned his son, but also other family members. Charlemagne the God calls out the hypocrisy, saying the criticism is completely valid since Democrats always act self-righteous. Meanwhile, Whoopi Goldberg is not having it and tries to defend Joe Biden. So let's dive in and see how Charlemagne the God completely shuts down Whoopi Goldberg on The View live.
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time and, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed his mind.
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
No, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over. And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen,
they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. He don't have to do that.
So we're mad at him because he changed his.
Oh no. By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning Hunter Biden.
But you sound like you're
mad. No.
If I can get in on this, I actually think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on. Joe Biden made a point of saying we stand by our institutions and the impartiality of the Department of Justice.
Yes.
Democrats ran on that. The same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden. We shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does. But then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Can you explain to me why it is that when Joe Biden does something, everybody clutches their pearls? He's wrong.
Nobody
he lied.
has criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlemagne the God.
I'm sorry. Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more, but you're missing my question.
Okay.
The hypocrisy here is obvious. Biden didn't have to promise he wouldn't pardon his son, but he did. Charlemagne called out the Democrats' double standard, pointing out how they ran on no one is above the law, but suddenly made an exception for Hunter. Charlemagne's comments were basically common sense, but Whoopi's response, pure deflection. She tells him you don't know it was a lie and tells him Biden got sick of watching others get away with things, which is literally just admitting to corruption. And you know what's even funnier? The audience. Total sheeps. They clap for Whoopi no matter what, even when Charlemagne makes way more sense. Whoopi and the audience need to understand that Charlemagne wasn't mad about the pardon. He was just calling out the hypocrisy. They just completely dodged the point.
My question is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing.
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing. But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay? I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes... But when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right, if you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
That's why I'm an independent.
Yes, but
that's
and I think that's the best way to go.
But that's not a monolith. We're not, Democrats are not a monolith.
But why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats are wrong.
So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't.
don't.
And can I just point this out to you?
You know what else is wrong? You not hitting that like button. So if you've enjoyed this video so far, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. But Charlemagne was making a solid point here. People do treat political parties like sports teams, refusing their own side when they're wrong. Democrats constantly talk about having the moral high ground, but when they get caught doing the same thing they criticize, suddenly it's overlooked? That's exactly what Charlemagne was getting at. Why the double standard? And Whoopi Goldberg, instead of actually addressing his argument, throws out that's not a monolith, which doesn't even fit the conversation. And then she says, I'll tell you when Democrats are wrong, but let's be real, she really never does. I don't get how Whoopi doesn't get what Charlemagne is trying to say, that people should hold their own party accountable instead of acting like one side is completely pure while the other is evil, which just makes sense. But of course, Whoopi and the audience weren't ready for that conversation.
The president has a pardon power,
you're ridiculous.
right?
I didn't say you were ridiculous, Ms. Goldberg.
Yeah,
I would
right.
never. I said that. I just think that's
Think
ridiculous.
about
Come over
it.
and give
Just
me a
think about
kiss.
it this way. Just very quickly, can you reframe it in this way and think about it maybe in this way? The president has the ultimate pardon power. Every president has done this, right?
Yeah.
And so people are saying is that Joe Biden is now a liar, as opposed to Joe Biden is someone who now knows that the person that is going to be in the White House is on a revenge tour and his son is on an enemies list. And so he is using his rightful power, his rightful political power, to pardon his son. Now, is that a lie, or is that perhaps being pragmatic, having a change of opinion, as opposed to the president-elect who has lied almost 40,000 times during his first term?
Well, I can't say what it is because I'm not in
who has the moral high ground? Like, what's the faux outrage?
Neither one of them have the moral high ground. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. But when you are a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican, you refuse to be objective about the other party. Like it's like we're watching them do something wrong, but we're making excuses for it.
But
we watch Republicans do things wrong and they make excuses for it. Why can't we just all be objective and call it what it is?
Because it's not
Because it's not the same.
But wait,
Sonny tried to defend Biden by saying every president has done this. Yeah, sure, many presidents have done this, but does that make it right? No. That's like saying my friend cheated on a test and got away with it, so I can too. No, wrong is still wrong. Then Sonny deflects even more by bringing up Trump lying 40,000 times, which has nothing to do with Biden's actions. If this scenario was flipped and Trump had pardoned his kids, let's be real, Sonny and Whoopi would be outraged. But because it's Biden, suddenly it's pragmatic? Charlemagne was the only one actually making sense in this whole discussion. But if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments section down below.